Hello you most beautiful and most amazing top 10ers, welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm Rebecca Felgate and today we have a very special video for you and a very special guest. I present to you the top 10 common misconceptions about being blind, and here to help me we have the fabulous and beautiful Molly Burke and of course her fabulous and equally beautiful sidekick Gallop. So I met Molly at VidCon this year. Molly was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa at age 4, but she has not let that hold her back. She is now a motivational speaker and YouTuber, primarily discussing blindness and living with disability. Welcome, Molly.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to do this. I've always wanted to work with you guys and do something like top 10 misconceptions about the blind. As a blind person, I constantly face stereotypes and labels and misconceptions, so I'm so excited to break some of those down with you guys.
Yay! Well, welcome. I'm going to give you a little handshake right here.
Thank you.
And you're wearing such a fabulous top as well. I love it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to get right on into our top 10 right now. So in at number 10, you may not know this, but blind people still very much watch TV. However, Canada is the only country in the world with a channel dedicated to disability.
Accessible Media Inc. is the only television station of its kind in the world. They make their own original content and they also license other content and make it audio described. So I actually host 2 television shows for them, AMI This Week and ATW Weekend Edition, but they also take other popular shows and movies and put audio description over them so that those of us who are blind and visually impaired can enjoy TV just like any sighted person can. But we also watch television that might not be audio described as well. We can either watch it with a friend or a family member who can describe what we might be missing out on, or there's plenty of television shows that you actually could watch with your eyes closed and not really miss much of anything.
That is really, really interesting to learn, and it's amazing to know that that kind of channel is out there. But do you think that there's scope for other streaming services to look a bit further into what they do with disability and how they work with audio captioning?
Netflix has definitely been stepping up their game. They have launched a whole bunch of described videos. A lot of their original content has described video, and they're going to be hopefully adding more and more as time goes on. But YouTube is also going to be stepping up their game. In November, I'm going to be out in LA speaking with YouTube about how YouTube can integrate audio descriptions into their videos, which is very exciting.
That is awesome. Well guys, you heard it here first. So in at number 9, you may not know this, but not all blind people can't see at all. Blindness is in fact a spectrum.
90% of people who are considered blind actually have some remaining vision. So in my case, although I'm considered totally blind, I have some light perception, so I can look around a room and point out exactly where all the lights in the room are. I have a little bit of shadow perception, so I can see some shapes of things and stuff like that, but it really varies person to person. My vision is completely my vision. It's unique to any other person who's blind or visually impaired, and their vision is unique to mine.
Fantastic. That's really interesting to know, because I thought that sort of blind was either lights on or lights off, and it's good to know that there's actually
It's very rare for somebody to see absolutely nothing at all.
But do you think your perception of lights and things like that helps or hinders you?
It really depends on the situation. That's a really good question. Sometimes I think it hinders me because sometimes I think I'm seeing something and it's not actually there, or things like that. Sometimes I think I can rely on my vision more than I can. I think I have more sight than I really do, so I'll be like, oh, I see that, but I actually don't. In other cases, I do think it really does help me because it can help me make out some shapes of things at certain times, and it is visual feedback, visual stimulation for my brain, so I think if I did lose that as well, I would miss it.
In at number 8, blind people do not just rely on canes and dogs. Some use echoes to navigate.
You might have heard of echolocation as something that bats and dolphins use, but some blind people can also use it as well. It's not something all blind people can use, but I was actually trained how to use it. So I use passive echolocation, which means naturally as I walk around and navigate the world, I can hear sound waves bouncing off of objects around me. But some people use active echolocation, which is where they'll snap their fingers or click their tongues, which causes a noise to bounce the echo off of an object. There's also a misconception that we use sticks, but it's actually called a cane. That would be the correct term to use.
In at number 7, you need to learn how to use a cane before you are given a guide dog.
Growing up as a blind person, you have to take O&M or orientation and mobility lessons, which is learning how to use your white cane effectively to cross the streets and navigate the world, and that's when you can get your guide dog. So until you learn proper O&M skills, you cannot receive your guide dog. It's not like you're blind, you just get a dog. You have to go through a lot of work before you can actually obtain guide dogs like mine.
In at at number 6, even though it may be tempting, you should never stroke an active guide dog.
So this one is super important. I'm really glad this one made the list. It's really important that you never touch a guide dog when you see this harness on their back. Even if they don't look like they're working, even if they're just laying around taking a nap, in their minds they're working, and it can become a really big safety risk if you start to pet and distract guide dogs. It doesn't just go for petting, actually, anything. If you talk to them, distract them in any way, try to give them food, it means you're taking their attention away from their job. And my life is literally in his 4 paws every single day, so it's so important.
That's such a really good one to know as well, because I know it can be so tempting. People come up to you and be like, oh, your dog. But guys, if you see a guide dog and it's wearing its harness, please don't stroke it. But you can love it from afar.
Yes, definitely.
In at number 5, there isn't just one type of Braille for blind people.
If you have no idea what Braille is, it's basically 6 raised dots, makes 1 cell. You'll find it on things like elevator buttons, and that's how those of us who are blind read with our fingers. Now, Braille is just the English language, but you can also find it with French accents. You can find music Braille, you can find math Braille code, which is called Nemeth. There's all different versions of Braille.
And so Molly, do you do a lot of reading in Braille?
I actually don't. So Braille is known as a decoding language. Every single time you're reading it with 2 fingers. So you're reading dot by dot, letter by letter, word by word, and you're stringing things together. So it can be actually very difficult to read large documents or to read a full book and actually understand what you're reading. You're kind of working on decoding it the whole time. So I find Braille very helpful for figuring out if I'm walking into the right bathroom, figuring out which floor I want to push on the elevator, those kind of small things, or reading a menu at a restaurant. But in terms of actually reading a book, most blind people read through audiobooks because it's a lot easier to take in the information. But yeah, Braille is definitely a very useful language to know.
Fantastic, that's really interesting to know. I'm glad that audiobooks can open up sort of the same world that it does for people who read.
Definitely, audiobooks make a world of difference. I think when I was younger and Harry Potter was coming out, I think the Braille version of Harry Potter was literally like 125 binders in Braille. Because Braille is a really thick language. It takes up a lot more space than it does in print. So yeah, it's like I said, it's hard to tote around your book on the airplane when you have like all these different volumes of it.
In at number 4, not all blind people wear dark glasses. Now, it's very obvious if you know a blind person. We can see Molly right here looking fabulous, not wearing her dark glasses, but this is a common misconception. Where does this come from, Molly?
I think it comes from the media. I think like movies and television shows always portray those of us who are blind wearing dark sunglasses. It's become just an obvious symbol of blindness. But it's actually like majority of us don't wear them. Yes, some blind people wear sunglasses. That could be to a variety of different reasons, usually light sensitivity. I wear dark sunglasses when I go outside, the same way a lot of sighted people would. But on a day-to-day basis, I don't need to wear sunglasses.
That's really interesting. There we go, movies. If you're gonna make a fabulous sassy blind person, take off the glasses.
And we don't want to feel your face.
So in at number 3, you may not know this, but people can go blind at any age.
There's a variety of reasons people can go blind. People can be born blind, people can go blind slowly like I did due to disease, or you can go blind through an accident. Most people with my disease go blind later in life. I happen to go blind younger at 14, so it really just depends. Everybody's situation is different, but blindness can affect anybody at any time. Eye health is so important, making sure you're always going to your checkups with your optometrist, getting your eyes checked, and making sure you're doing everything you can to protect them, eating those carrots, wearing sunglasses that are polarized when you are outside, doing everything that you can to protect your eyes because your sight is really valuable. And trust me, if you lose it, you'll probably miss it.
In at number 2, something I found really interesting. Blind people definitely still dream.
Blind people do dream, it's true. This is a question I get all the time. Can you see in your dreams? What are your dreams like? Yes, blind people do dream. My dreams, because I went blind slowly, I do have some fuzzy visuals, but for the most part my dreams consist of smells, sounds, feelings. I basically dream the way I live my life. I dream without any of the visuals that a sighted person would have. But an interesting fact is that a lot of blind people are more likely to have scary dreams, and blind people are also more likely to have sleep disorders and be unable to sleep at regular times.
Okay, so we have reached that all-important moment in our most amazing top 10 common misconceptions about being blind, and here to introduce number 1, we have Molly, and this is really shocking, so you guys, listen on.
This might be earth-shattering for some of you. you, but being blind does not heighten your senses. I know, it's true. I'm not a superhero. I don't have superpowers. What it is that those of us who are blind rely on our other senses a little bit more. When you go blind, when you lose an ability like that, you don't just automatically get heightened senses. My brain has turned off the visual intake and is focusing on my other intake, like my smells, taste, and sense of touch.
Okay, so that was the top 10 common misconceptions about being blind. Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Gallup. I, for one, have learned so much in this top 10. It's been incredible to have you here, so thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I hope everybody watching this has learned a lot as well. And if you'd like to learn even more, please feel free to come on over to my channel. Just youtube.com/MollyBurkeOfficial.
I actually subscribe to Molly, and I have done since I met her at VidCon, and she has some really awesome content. But for now, if you want to leave a question for me or for Molly, then please do so in the comments section down below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a good thumbs up, share it with a friend to teach them something, and of course, subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10. Thank you again, Molly.
Thank you.
I'm going in for a hug. Ooh. Thank you. Bye.